Hey folks, I'm Donnie the Fuzzy Face Fisherman with Red Dirt Fishing. Thanks for joining me here in Red Dirt Country. Let's talk largemouth bass fishing baits for the month of May. Alright folks, so as usual, before we start talking about baits for the month, let's talk about what the fish are doing, right? So in Red Dirt Country, we've actually had quite a bit of rain this spring, something we're not really used to. It's had things flooded, right? And we had, towards the end of April, we had a big heavy thunder boomer. It really, started filling the lakes up. We had, I think the very next night, we had another big old thunder boomer, started filling the lakes up a little bit more. And a couple nights later, we had some more. And as these lakes and rivers started filling up, there's a lot of bank line that's been covered up. It's kind of crazy. And so I've seen things underwater that aren't usually underwater, and well, it brings me to the next thing. Where are the fish, right? Well, being here we are so close to the end of the spawn, finding the fish with the flooded conditions and the back half of pretty much the end of the spawn season, it's made finding fish a little bit difficult. For those that are bank fishermen, shout out to the bank fishermen. I do a considerable amount of bank fishing myself, and what I've found is with these water levels up, getting to some of these places that I typically fish from the bank has been pretty difficult. I've got a big four-wheel drive pickup truck, and I can go pretty much anywhere I want to go. With there's always limitations though. So that being said, everything being flooded, I've had issues getting to a lot of these my usual places, if you will, and that's changed up some of the fishing habits. And not only that, right? And so with the flooded conditions and all this extra flat area or rocky area or whatever area that's now underwater that didn't used to be, the fish are using that. They're utilizing all this extra area, extra space. And I've even found that fish, I'm standing on a rock that's out in the water, and as I'm dragging my lure through the water, a fish from beneath the rock that I'm standing on will come out and go after my lure right before I pull it up out of the water. It's hard to predict where these fish are going to be at in these flooded conditions, and I kind of enjoy it. It's a change of pace. It's not, I won't call it a mystery, but it's fun, right? And so that being said, I will say this is a late video, and I apologize for that. But I've been out there fishing, trying to figure out what I'm going to fish with this month, what I should recommend to people this month. And of course, as always, these aren't the only baits that I'm going to be fishing with this month. But this is where I would recommend most folks start. I've got a few friends at work that fish pretty regularly, and these are what I'm recommending to them. All right, so first bait on the list here is, it's going to be a creature bait. Now, when I say creature bait, more specifically a lizard, right? I've got from 10,000 Fish, I've got the Zuki bug. Now, this guy actually came from Mystery Tackle Box, Carl's Fishing, if you will. But these guys are just loaded with appendages, and as you drag it through the water, man, you get all kinds of water displacement, and that's what I'm looking for. That's the name of the game when I'm talking lizard, right? I want appendages, and I want movement through the water to catch fish eye. With all these flooded conditions, I will say, surprisingly, the water's clearer than I would anticipate. It's murky, I would call it probably, and with the murkiness comes, you got to make adjustments and adapt, if you will. And so Zuki bug is one of them. I'll tell you another one that I've been playing with. I got this. These are these are lizards from Yum. They're called the cherry seed color. But let me show you this guy here. He looks just like a lizard, right? So notice the appendages. He's got legs. He's got a nice ribbon tail. I'm looking for water displacement. I want to move water. I want to make sure things, I've got movement plus a little bit of vibration, if you will, in the water. The bass are going to feel that. If you don't have lizards, that's fine. I've got, let's see here, what is this? The Mighty Bug, green pumpkin, neon is the color. But I'm going to show you here. It's a craw bait, creature bait, but he's still got appendages, right? And this is, I was actually fishing with this guy yesterday. Beautiful. The appendages, like I said, water displacement is what we're really looking for. We want to be able to, rig it up. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of the Carolina rig, and it just happens to be with where I fish. But I'll work a Texas rig all day long, or I'll even go weightless if I'm looking for a little bit slower descent in the water, a little bit slower fall. But that's definitely going to be the first bait that I'm gonna recommend we tie on our lines the month of May here in Red Dirt Country. Bait number 2, Bait number 2 is going to be topwater, right? And so those that know me know I'm a big fan of the frog. And I'm going to recommend, I'm not saying the frog, I'm talking toads, right? So I'm actually kind of a newbie to the toad, but I'm telling you, they work, right? I've got a couple different colors here. Let me show them to you. I've got I got a white one. I got a green one here. This one's a little bit more easy to see here, but he's got some tails. He kicks. You can hook these guys up on a regular EWG, and the goal is to keep it on top of the water. They will sink. If you stop reeling, they're going to start sinking. Don't stop reeling. Get it out there and reel it across top of the water. You don't have to burn it in, but keep it from sinking, right? Get you a nice steady pace. Crank it in until you get back to the boat or back to the shore and try again. It's definitely a topwater bait. If you want to use an EWG, they work. I will tell you, if you want to spice things up a little bit, they do sell these, right? These are I call them toad hooks. I don't know what their technical term for them is, but I call them toad hooks. And you rig it up just like you would a soft body frog or hollow body frog, and you burn. Yeah, you're gonna have to burn it across the top, because what I found with these toad hooks, they do weigh a little bit more. You got a little bit more metal there, so it makes sense. But they're awesome to burn across top of water and see one of those bass hit it on the move. It is a little bit faster bait, but they're fun to fish, and they're super fun when you got one of those bass snag it from some vegetation or off on the side and just blow up on top of the water. We all love the topwater bites. All right, so next bait, third bait for the month of May here. I'm actually gonna the first two were soft plastics. These are, I'm gonna recommend chatterbait. Right, so we got some chatterbaits here. Now, if you're a fan of the thunder cricket, that's fine. Bladed jig is, I guess, the technical term here. I'm a fan of the chatterbait. Personal preference. I'm not sponsored by anybody. If you're a thunder cricket fan, good on you. Nothing wrong with it. No, nothing wrong with that bait at all. I'm a fan of the chatterbait. But the trailer is what I want to point out here, right? So I've got a worm style trailer on this one, and I've got a paddle tail on this one. The difference here is, again, water displacement. It's all going to come down to how fast you're pulling your lure through the water. If you're really trying to burn it through, you probably don't want that paddle tail, because you're not going to get the right action in the water. If you want to slow things down and get a good sway on your bait, that paddle tail might be a better option. But more important than anything else is going to be matching, in my opinion, is going to be matching your lure to the color of the water. And in my personal opinion, with the murky water that I have right now, and when I say murky, I'm talking probably 8 inches of visibility, and it's kind of a greenish color to it as well. So I'm kind of steering away from the more natural color baits, and I'm leaning more towards the light, white, dark, June bug, black, those colors right now currently. But what I found is, with the water levels up, and we don't just have the end of the bass spawn happening. What we've also got going on is you got the shad spawn happening. And in red dirt country, the shad spawn, it happens in pretty much every body of water around here, and that is the main forage for a lot of these bass. Now, we do have some ponds. There's a few lakes that got some bluegill. They're fairly I don't know if I'd call them large populations, but most of the bluegill tend to stay in the smaller ponds. That being said, you got these forage fish that are spawning right now, and a lot of times you can actually smell it, believe it or not. And old Gene Jensen, the Fluke Master, shout out, mentioned something like that in one of his YouTube videos, and I never thought about it. And I roll up into a cove last spring, and sure enough, you can actually smell a real fishy smell, and those bluegill are out there spawning, and that's what you're smelling. I didn't pick up on it until he said something about it. I put 2 and 2 together. I'll be darned, he was onto something there, and he's not wrong. You can smell it, and so you've got these forage fish spawning right now. And so while the bass have moved out to who knows where, because they're at the end of their spawn, they're somewhere in transition between deep water and not. You're going to get those bass that are cruising some of those shallow spots, especially in the mornings and evenings, cruising, looking for those forage fish that are up there spawning. And folks, the name of the game for the month of May, at least in red dirt country, is going to be finding bass. And you never know where you're going to find them right now with the flooded conditions, and as much rain as we've had, it's washing all kinds of roughage and food technically down into the water, and these bass are actually staying fed. And what I've found is they're not real shallow much anymore. They've pushed out into those deeper waters, and so you know stuff like this, those creature baits, I can pitch out there in those deep waters. I can let sink to the bottom, and I can wait and work it a little bit slower. Or that chatterbait, same deal. I can pitch that sucker out there and wait for it to hit the bottom, and then start dragging it up from the bottom and work that sucker in. It allows me to work a little bit deeper water. Now the toad, I'm looking for something probably early morning or late evening, dusk and dawn type of fishing. Now, those that know me are familiar with the bonus bait for the month. This month, I'm going to go with the Ned Rig. The Ned Rig has actually been a fun bait to play with and practice with. 2020, this year, 2024 has been the year of the Ned Rig for me. I'm trying to figure it out. Last year was the year of the jig. This year I'm playing with the Ned Rig, and I'm a fan of the Z-Man. I think they call them the Ned Rig shroom heads, or the shrooms. It's a good Ned Rig head. I just bought some Mad Bait. This is the Ned Rig I got off Amazon or whatever, but they look exactly the same. That's not necessarily what I want to talk to you about. What I want to bring up here is what I'm actually fishing with. I'm tubing it, right? So I've got this guy here. I got, if I want to shoot for some natural color, or if I want to go a little bit on the lighter end, I'm tubing it. And Guggen's got to make an appearance in this video here. We're gonna throw some of these guys in here with some slaunch sauce. They call it the doob tube. But that's what I'm gonna be rigging up for my bonus bait here. Ned Rigs, love them or hate them, they do catch fish. Now, I won't tell you they're gonna catch a monster, but in my experience, you catch more fish, not necessarily big fish. If you're trying to put one in the boat or one on the bank, Ned Rig's a great place to go. But folks, that's what I'm fishing with, or what I'm starting to fish with the month of May. Hopefully, you're doing well so far this month. I am Donnie the Fuzzy-Faced Fisherman with Red Dirt Fishing. Thanks for joining me here in Red Dirt Country, guys. Until next time, tight lines to you.